Hello! Jump scare. I just got done filming a different video, so I'm in the middle of doing my makeup. But I wanted to come in here and start a new vlog because this week I am focusing on finishing my library books. So I currently have 3 physical books out from the library, and I think I have 4 or 5 out on Libby. 1 or 2 of those are audiobooks of physical books that I'm reading. Actually, it might be 3 or 4, not 1 or 2. So I'm gonna try and get to those this week so I can knock them out of my Libby and also knock them off my physical TBR. And then I need to finish these physical books because one of them is already overdue. I don't think my library charges fees because I've never gotten charged a fee for returning it a few days late. So I'm gonna keep reading that book because I'm halfway through it. And that book is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This is the book that our library romance book club is reading for the month of March, and I am, I think, 120-ish pages through it, and I'm really enjoying it. This book, I don't know too much about it yet. I know that there is some breakup, so it's like second chance romance, but the reason it's called Every Summer After is because it's about these 2 people who met when they were 13, and one of them lives in this town, this lake town, and then the other, her parents have bought a house in this lake town to get her out of the city for the summer because she's having a really rough time at school, and they wanted to get her away from all of the kids that were being awful to her. And so they meet when she moves up there for the summer, and they become best friends. And eventually, I think they become romantically involved, but we haven't gotten to that point yet in their history. So the book is set up where you get a chapter set in the now, which is 10 years after the last time they've seen each other, and then a chapter set in the past. So from what I'm gathering, at some point they ended up being romantically involved, and then something happened. I don't know what happened yet, and honestly I wouldn't tell you if I did because it's a spoiler. But something happened. They're no longer together. They haven't seen each other for 10 years after whatever happened, and the main character, the female main character, gets a phone call from the male main character's brother telling her that their mom has passed away from cancer, and he thought she would want to know so that she could come to the funeral. And so she goes, and this is the first time that she has seen this man since they broke up a decade earlier. So in the now chapters, we're getting background on what's happened since they last saw each other. And in the past chapters, you're getting all of this background about how they became friends, how they ended up together, that kind of stuff. I'm really enjoying it. Our librarian said that this is her favorite romance author, and I can see why. Because I'm also reading Happy Place. Yeah, I'm also reading Happy Place, and I just read the chapter. If you've read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't read it, there's a chapter where they go to these movies and then a carnival, and they're all high, and I think she really captures, because they ate an edible at the movies. And I think those chapters really capture nostalgia, for me anyways, and this entire book is doing what those chapters did for me. So I'm really enjoying that. I am coming to learn that I really love nostalgia and nostalgic books. And I really hope that the last half of this book is as good as the first half, because I would love to give it a 5-star. And then the other book that I'm currently working my way through from the library is, I think it's called Blade of the Moon Princess. It is a manga from Tatsuya Endo, who is also the author of Spy Family. And I guess Libby saw that I was caught up on Spy Family and decided that I needed to know about this one because I opened the app one day and it was advertising it to me. So I put it on hold, and it's been on hold for over a month, which is not usual for most manga when I am reading it on Libby. So I'm gonna read it. I don't think Tatsuya is a woman, but he's not a white person either. So I'm suspending the rules for my March TBR for this one book. Every other book has to be by a woman or black author, though. I haven't gotten too far into this one. I think I might be like 40%, but if you know manga volumes, they're not very long, so not much has happened. Basically, I think this civilization has like colonized a moon or something, and we're following the princess and her mom, who is the empress, but the mom is she's dying, unfortunately. And at the point that I'm at, the princess has just gone through she was about to go through her coming of age ceremony, and that didn't happen because another family is angry and has attacked during that ceremony. So she doesn't get her ceremony. Her mom comes to save her as like her last hurrah. And now she is getting sent to the Tainted Planet, which I don't know for sure yet, but I'm assuming is Earth. So I'm excited to see where this one goes, especially because I love Spy Family so much. Like I said, I'm caught up, and I'm really sad that there are no more volumes for me to read. I guess I'm just gonna have to go watch the show if I want my Spy Family fix for the time being, which is fine because my husband loves the show too, so we can watch it together. But yeah, I think those are the updates I have right now. I think the next library book I'm going to work on is Our Prison's Obsolete by Angela Davis. This is a rollover from last month. I got it from the library. I also got her autobiography from the library on audio, but the library took it back before it was due, and now it's not available anymore. So I'm going to have to read that physically if I want to read it. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, I don't know if I have a physical autobiography in me this month. I just don't know. I'm going to keep looking and see if I can get an audio of it somewhere else. If not, I'm going to try it physically. But yeah, I'm pretty annoyed that Libby took it away from me, because I was about to start it and I went to look for I hadn't even had it for a week, and I went to look for it and it was already gone, and I was so confused. But I guess their license ran out or something. And then the other book that I'm planning to read this week is Happy Place, because I need to finish it. My mom chose it as our buddy read for the month, and she is now caught up to where I am. Because if you didn't know, I have been reading Happy Place since September. And it's not that it's not good. That's not the reason I'm not done with it yet. It's just, it's taken me a long time. Because when I was reading it in September, we were on like vacation, and I just didn't have focus in me because I was so excited to be on vacation, I guess. And then I got back and I had other things that I needed to get done for other projects and stuff. So I'm going back to it this week, hopefully finishing it this week. And then I think that's it. That's all the reading plans I have for this week. So yeah, I'll check back in with you once I finish something, because I think I'm halfway through everything that I talked about. So yeah, we'll see where the week takes us. Although it's halfway done, so this vlog will probably end next Wednesday. Who knows? Hello. Since my last update, I have finished 3 books. Count them, 3. We'll talk about the one that I just finished from the library first, so that I don't forget about it, because it was an audiobook, so I don't have it next to me to remind me that I need to talk about it. And that was Our Prison's Obsolete by Angela Y. Davis. I don't have a ton to say about this, just because it's nonfiction and it's short, and I don't want to do the topic injustice. But this book is about the creation of our modern prison system in the United States and how it's interconnected to slavery and misogyny. And I ended up rating this book 5 stars simply because I learned so much. Pretty much everything it had to teach me was something that I did not learn in school in my history classes. So I am really happy I finally listened to that one. It was on my TBR for last month and I didn't get to it, so I'm happy I made time for it this month. And then the other 2 books that I finished were 2 romances. So I have Every Summer After and Happy Place. Every Summer After was the book club pick for our library's romance book club. I think the last time I started the last time I updated, I was like halfway through this. I finished it yesterday, and my feelings on it are the same. I ended up giving it 5 stars. Actually, I gave all 3 of these books 5 stars. So, the parts about Every Summer After that I really loved were the nostalgia, and I think that this book solidified that I just really enjoy dual timelines. So this book has 2 timelines. One when the main characters are younger. That one starts when they're 13 and they first meet and goes up through, I think, when they're 18 or 19. But we get to see the 2 main characters fall in love and what they were like as teenagers and then why they broke up, essentially. And then the other timeline is set in the here and now, and it's after the current day timeline is set directly after the male main character's mom dies unexpectedly. Well, it was unexpected for the female main character. So, I really enjoyed this one, and our librarian who runs the book club said that this is her favorite romance author. And based on my experience with this book, I think I want to read everything else she's published. So that's that. Earlier today, so I finished Every Summer After yesterday, and I finished Our Prison's Obsolete like 10 minutes ago. And then I finished Happy Place a few hours ago. So Our Prison's Obsolete and Every Summer After are library books. So that is getting me towards my goal of finishing my library books this week. And this one is getting me towards my goal of cleaning out my currently reading this month, because April is 1, my birthday month, and 2, Magical Readathon. So I want to get rid of everything that I'm currently reading within reason. I don't think I can finish all of them, and some of them are by white men, so I don't want to prioritize them right now. So they will carry over. But Happy Place. Let's talk about Happy Place. This is the buddy read that my mom chose for March, and I started this book back in September when she visited and we were driving up to Wyoming and stuff, and I don't really know why I haven't finished it yet. I don't know why I've put it off for this long. I enjoyed the whole thing. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. I didn't actually cry, but I wanted to cry. Especially with like the last 50 pages and how many emotional conversations the 2 main characters and then their friends all had together about their relationships and why things weren't working and if they wanted to still be friends and all of that. So this one was also 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. It's either going to stay on my shelf or I might try to find a nicer copy of it. I think I got this one for like $3 on Pango or something, and it is pretty beat up. It doesn't match the rest of my Emily Henry books. So we'll see what I decide. I'll probably keep this one unless I find something I like better. So, but moving on, the 2 other books I have out physically from my library are We Came to Welcome You and The Favorites. I also have the audiobook for this one out, and that loan I have for 14 more days. This one I'm pretty sure is due this coming week. So I'm going to go downstairs and walk until my husband's ready to go to the gym, and this is what I'm going to read while I'm walking. Tomorrow, I think I will either start Unwell Women or the women's suffrage movement. I'll start listening to one of these because I have the audios out for both of them. I think Unwell Women I might need to prioritize because I did have to put a hold on this book, on the audio for this book, and I didn't have to put a hold on this one. So probably going to prioritize this one tomorrow. But yeah, I'm making really good progress this month. I think I've already read 5 books, and it is March 8th, March 7th. So that's March 8th. So that's really good. I'm proud of what I've accomplished so far. But yeah, I'm gonna go walk, then we'll go to the gym, and then I might check back in with you tomorrow, depending on what I finish. Oh, I also need to work on Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, so that might actually be tomorrow's listen, rather than one of those two. But these will be up next. So, yep. Hello, my friends. It is Friday, March 21st, and I do not think I have updated my vlog in 2 weeks. So let's talk about what I've been reading. I think the last time I talked to you, I had maybe just finished Our Prison's Obsolete, and I have since finished Strange the Dreamer, The Favorites, and a few other things that I don't think I even had on my TBR because I wasn't expecting to get them. So let's talk about Strange the Dreamer. I think I put a summary of the book somewhere in the last few clips. I really enjoyed this one. It felt like a fever dream. It reminded me of, what was that book? Not The Night Circus, but the other one. The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. It reminded me a lot of that book, which I also really liked. I do feel that the romance in this book was not too much. It was a very young romance, which I guess makes sense because the main character has been cooped up in a library for the majority of his life. And this is the first woman, or I guess it's just a girl. I think they might be teenagers. This is the first person he's had a romantic relationship in. And so I did enjoy this book. I gave it 4 stars, but it felt really young to me. And the person at my book club who read it and wanted somebody to talk about it with has read the second one. I had the second one checked out, and I think I'm just going to return it for now because I don't really have time. Don't have time to read it right now. So I'm going to return it. But she was saying that she read the second one and it wasn't as good as Strange the Dreamer was. I think it's called Muse of Nightmares or something like that. So I think I'm going to skip that one for now. I'll come back to it eventually. But right now I'm not going to read it. And then last weekend, so I think that was 2 weekends ago. So the weekend after that, I read The Favorites by Laini Taylor. That was really, really good. For background, while I don't really care for Taylor Jenkins Reid as an author now, knowing just things she tends to do and hasn't apologized for yet, or if she ever will apologize, but she wrote Daisy Jones and the Six and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I read both of those books a few years ago before all of this stuff about her came out, and I loved both of them. I loved them so much. I am a sucker for classic Hollywood and like 70s music and like bands, biopics, everything like that. I am a sucker for. And the audiobooks for both of those were incredible. They were like full cast interviews and stuff like that. Well, The Favorites does that, and it also brings in another obsession of mine, which is figure skating, specifically Olympic figure skating. I don't know what it is. I know it's an elite sport, and I know it is not inclusive. I know that, and I know that that's not good, but I eat it up, especially the drama that goes along with it. Oh my god. I can't stop myself. And this book did all of that. So I don't think I introduced The Favorites at all. It is by, I don't have the book anymore because I had to return it to the library, but it is by Laini Fargo, I think. Yeah, it's not Laini Taylor. Laini Taylor wrote Strange the Dreamer, and I think Laini Fargo wrote The Favorites. But it's about this couple who skates together. Katarina Shaw and Heath Rocha. They grew up together. Heath was not well off at all. He was in and out of foster homes, and her dad ended up taking him in at one point. Well, her dad dies when they're kids. I think when she's like 15, 16, something like that. But before he dies, he had been like paying for their figure skating lessons and stuff because they would skate together. They were skating partners. They did ice dance, which is not, I mean, it's still like a competitive sport, but it is not, at least according to the book, at the caliber of like speed skating or figure skating. So it's more artsy than technical, I think is how they explained it. Regardless, I love watching all of them. So, but this is about the pair's journey to the Olympics and how they got there. So we're following them from the time that they're like 16 or 17, all the way up into their 30s. It might be their 40s by the time we get to the end of the book. But they end up either almost going or going to 3 or 4 different Winter Olympics, and it always seems that there is something in the way of them winning. There's always something that goes wrong. If you like figure skating, if you liked those Taylor Jenkins Reid's books I mentioned, and also if you liked the movie I, Tonya, and you liked following the actual real life drama that movie was based on, I think you would really like this book. And I would have to say go with the audio. Because even though I was tandem reading, I had the audio going in my ears all the time. I pretty much did nothing but listen to this book last weekend. And when I had time, I would sit down and have the physical book in front of me. But the audiobook was something else. Like, I think I still would have loved the book if I was only physically reading, but the audiobook just did something. It was incredible. 5 stars. And actually, I have Lainey Fargo's other book. Well, one of her other books. I think it's They Never Learn. I have that one checked out from the library because I went to turn the favorites in and immediately went upstairs and checked out the next one because I loved it that much. Yeah. This next book I didn't talk about in my TBR because I didn't intend on getting it the day it came out. But I saw on Instagram, I'll tell you what the book is first. So I ended up getting Sunrise on the Reaping, the new Hunger Games book, from my library because somebody posted on Instagram the night before the book was supposed to come out that it was already on Hoopla. So me being curious, I just went and looked just to see if my Hoopla was the same way, and it was. And I don't know if I've talked about the Hoopla drama on here at all, but our library recently, I think at the beginning of the year, they had to cut back how much money they were spending on Hoopla, and at the city council meeting I went to this past week, they actually said that they are back on track. They are under budget for the year, so that's good for them. But they had to cut the Hoopla spending because I guess the director before this had no limit on Hoopla. So every patron could check out 10 items. There's no daily limit, and if you didn't know, libraries pay every single time you check something out from Hoopla. So if you're using Hoopla, try to make sure that you're actually reading what you're checking out. I used to be really bad about just going in and checking out 10 things at once and then not actually getting to more than half of them. So just try to read it. But anyways, it was like 10 p.m. and I have had terrible luck checking things out on Hoopla if it's not like 6 a.m. on a weekday, or if it's just relatively early on a weekend because people tend to sleep in on the weekends. But it was 10 p.m. on a Tuesday night, and it let me check it out. And I took that as a sign that I need to go ahead and read it right now instead of waiting, and I did. And it was, I won't say it was a total flop for me, but it was not, I guess, not what I wanted from a book in the series. So when I was in high school, I loved the original trilogy. I was obsessed. I read all of them. I read them multiple times. I saw the movies multiple times. I was obsessed. And then back in, I think it was 2020 when Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out, I read that one and I hated it. And it's not the writing. I liked the writing. I think Suzanne Collins is an incredible writer. She does a good job. But I hated President Snow. And the entirety of that book is from his point of view. You're in his brain the whole time. And he is a piece of crap. And I hated hearing every single opinion he had on things. So I ended up giving that book 3 stars because I really liked the writing. I think the book achieved what Suzanne Collins set out to achieve in showing us how awful of a person President Snow was and how he became that way. Because in my opinion, that book did not redeem him at all, and I don't think that was what it was supposed to do. But this book, Sunrise on the Reaping, is about Haymitch and his game. So in the original trilogy, Haymitch is the only living victor from District 12, which is where Katniss and Peeta are from. And he is their mentor because he's the only living victor. So we know who Haymitch is. We know he won the games and that he was in the games. So for me, this book just kind of fell flat because the vast majority of it was not a surprise to me at all. You might want to skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to be spoiled at all. I'm going to try not to spoil the big things that happen in the book, but I am going to talk about like the big plot points that were in this book. So this book starts out on Haymitch's 16th birthday, and it's also the reaping day for the 50th games, which is the second quarter quell, so they have to do something special. And this year, that's special, or maybe it's every quarter quell. I can't remember if it's every quarter quell, but this one they're taking 4 kids from each district instead of 12, or 2 instead of 2. And Haymitch almost doesn't get called. So like they draw the 4 names, Haymitch isn't one of them. But the last name that they draw, that kid decides to make a run for it, and they end up killing him in the town square. And Haymitch ends up being the replacement. Surprise, surprise. That's not a surprise at all. We knew the book was about Haymitch. We knew that. So like all of the tension and everything that she was trying to build up in that scene, gone. We all know that Haymitch is going. So when they call the 4th name and it's not Haymitch, what do we expect is gonna happen? Something has to happen to make it so that Haymitch goes. So that wasn't a surprise. I did like the training scenes and, you know, all of his interactions with the people in the Capitol. That was good. None of it was surprising, though, because, like, we know how people in the Capitol are from the other books. We know how President Snow is from the other books. That's all stuff we know. And then, obviously, Haymitch wins because he's the mentor in the first trilogy. So, like, that wasn't a surprise. I did enjoy, like, seeing how all of the... What are they? They're not called victors because it's only the person who wins that's called a victor. I don't remember what they're called. But the kids. I enjoyed seeing how all of the kids, like, joined together, made their own alliances, ganged up against the careers, all of that. I did like that stuff, and that wasn't bad, but it was just kind of, like, boring after reading the Hunger Games, because, like, there are only so many different ways that they can make the arena and that people can have alliances. Like, there are only so many different ways that they can do that, and it just kind of feels like the Hunger Games rewritten with Haymitch. There wasn't that much different in there. So I will say the ending got me a little bit. Obviously Haymitch ends up winning, and then this is definitely spoilers, so skip this part. But Haymitch throughout the entire book is like, well, I hope I die before I get into the arena. Like, I hope something happens and I just die unexpectedly to make it easier for everybody, and so that I don't have to be tortured in the arena, essentially. Well, he gets to the end. He's the last one standing, but somebody still got him. And so, like, the chapter where he wins, he looks down and, like, his guts are just spilled out because he got cut up. And he's, like, on his way to death. But, of course, the Capitol can't let that happen. They have to have a victor. Someone has to win. So they save him. I don't remember what they did to save him, but he's definitely alive. Definitely alive and well. And then when he gets back to District 12, of course President Snow just gets rid of everyone he loves. I don't remember exactly what happened with his mom and brother, but they aren't there anymore. I remember a scene where he's, like, devastated as he's watching them leave. I don't remember why they left. And then President Snow poisons his girlfriend, and he has to watch her die in his arms because he realized too late that what he fed her was poison. Like, knowing what we know about Snow, none of that's a surprise. The way that Haymitch acted throughout the rest of the book was more than enough for Snow to decide he hated him and wanted to make him miserable. More than enough. So none of that was a surprise to me. Was it sad? Yeah, it was sad. But for me, it wasn't devastating because I knew when I saw that he won and there was still, like, 2 hours left of the book that shit was gonna go down. I knew that somebody else was gonna die. I knew something bad was gonna happen. So, like, Not a surprise to me at all. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't know if I'll read any more Hunger Games books after this. I'm totally open to rereading the series, like the first trilogy. I really loved them. I think they were well written. They're innovative for their time. I think they are based off of Battle Royale. I don't remember the author's name. So like it's not completely new concept, but I remember loving them. So like I think if the original trilogy just stood alone, I would have been much happier than I am now. I don't think that either of these last 2 books really needed to exist. And I don't know what she's gonna do in the future, honestly. I don't know what she's gonna get away with. Yeah. I'm still working, I guess, to finish up this library vlog. I am still working on reading We Came to Welcome You. I think I'm a little over halfway, and I'm planning to finish it this weekend. So hopefully that'll be one more library book down. And then I still have Voyager on here, which I am going to attempt to at least make progress in. I lost the audio, and I now have the audio back. So we'll see. But yeah. I finished a couple of other things that weren't library books, so I won't talk too much about them in this video because this video's point was clearing out my library stack. But I finished Nocticadia, gave that 2.5 stars. It was fine. It was entirely too long in my opinion, and I did not like the different personalities that the male main character had. His name is Devrick. He had one personality when he was a professor, and then a completely different personality that did not, in my brain at least, connect with the character at all. Like, I could not see the character acting this way. But he had a different personality whenever he was alone with our female main character. And like, I can see having a slightly different personality, but this was like 2 different sides, like 2 completely different things. And then I also finished Happy Place, and I gave that one 5 stars. I kind of think it might be my favorite Emily Henry so far. I've read Book Lovers, Happy Place, and I don't remember the other one. I know I've read a 3rd one, I just can't remember the title. It wasn't People We Meet on Vacation, and it wasn't Funny Story. What was it? Beach Read. Beach Read was the other one I read. I think Happy Place was my favorite. And I think the thing that makes it my favorite were these couple of chapters where they went to the movies, and then they also were at a fair, not a fair, like a carnival with like a Ferris wheel. And the way those chapters were written just imbued so much nostalgia, and it really, really did something for my brain. It really just itched the part of my brain that releases all of the serotonin. So I liked that. I know that some people think Win is whiny. I don't know. His dad dies. You learn that pretty early on. His dad died, and like, my dad also died, and I don't really blame him for acting the way that he did. Everyone grieves differently, and I know that after my dad died, I wouldn't have been able to support another relationship feeling the way that I felt if my partner wasn't fully involved, you know? So like, I don't blame him for acting the way he did, especially because losing his dad was so unexpected. So yeah, I think Happy Place is my favorite Emily Henry. But with that, we'll end this vlog. And since it's Friday and I have lots of reading plans for the weekend, I might start a new one. Who's to say? Anyways, I hope you have a great rest of your day. wherever you are. And yeah, thanks for watching.